The Canon EOS R100, Canon EOS Rebel T7, Olympus OMD EM10 Mark IV, Panasonic Lumix G7, and Canon EOS M50 are the most popular cameras under $500 of 2025. But which is the absolute best? We are going to compare them to each other and score them in various categories, with some categories holding more weight than others. In the end, we'll decide which is the best one based on the final score, and we will declare the absolute winner. Let's dive in. First, we're going to compare them on the image quality category, which has a multiplier of 2. The Canon EOS R100 gives you access to a modern camera system and produces photos with those lovely Canon colors and good light, but I found its performance in low light is disappointing as noise starts to show up very quickly, and the kit lens feels a bit soft. So I'm giving it a 6.5 out of 10. Next up, the Canon EOS Rebel T7 packs a 24.1 megapixel sensor that can deliver sharp and colorful images when you have plenty of outdoor lighting, but its very old Digic 4 Plus processor means it really struggles indoors or after sunset, producing grainy and muddy photos much faster than the R100 tells, which earns it a 5.0 out of 10. I found the Olympus OMD EM10 Mark IV produces some truly excellent images for its price, with plenty of fine detail and fantastic color, and its built-in image stabilization is a massive advantage that helps you get sharp photos even with slow shutter speeds, though its 20 megapixel sensor is slightly lower resolution than some others here, landing at a solid 9.3 out of 10. The Panasonic Lumix G7 was impressive, and while its 16 megapixel sensor is the lowest resolution in our lineup, it handles noise incredibly well even at higher ISO settings and captures a surprisingly wide range of tones, although I did notice the images straight from the camera can be a little soft, though it gets an 8.5 out of 10. Finally, the Canon EOS M50 produces some of the best-looking JPEGs right out of the camera, with beautiful colors that are ready for social media. But I was shocked at how little flexibility the raw files have when you try to edit them, as they fall apart quickly if you push the shadows or try to recover highlights, which is why it gets a 7.5 out of 10. With its incredible image stabilization and consistently sharp, detailed photos, the Olympus OMD EM10 Mark IV takes the win in this category with a score of 9.3. Next, we're going to compare them on the ease of use category, which has a multiplier of 1.5. Starting with the Canon EOS R100, I found its guided user interface to be helpful for beginners, but the complete lack of a touchscreen makes it feel incredibly dated and clunky to operate, especially when trying to do something as simple as moving your focus point, which is a significant drawback for anyone used to a smartphone. For that, I am giving it a 6.5 out of 10. The Canon EOS Rebel T7 feels like a step back to the basics of photography with its refreshingly simple and ergonomic layout where all the physical buttons are exactly where you need them. However, its screen is fixed and lacks any touch capability, which made me constantly forget and tap the screen to no effect, making menu navigation feel slow compared to more modern cameras. This one gets a 7.2 out of 10. Moving on, the Olympus OMD EM10 Mark IV handles beautifully for its size, thanks to its excellent twin control dials that give you a lot of manual control. But I was let down by the infamous Olympus menu system, which is still a bit of a maze, and the touchscreen functionality feels half-finished since you cannot use it to navigate those menus. I rated an 8.4 out of 10. The Panasonic Lumix G7 immediately felt great in my hands with its generous grip and fantastic dual control dials that let me change settings without taking my eye off the viewfinder, and combined with a dedicated drive mode dial and a fully articulating touchscreen, it is just so much more intuitive to use than the other cameras here. I'm giving it a 9.3 out of 10. Finally, the Canon EOS M50 is exceptionally easy to use if you stick to automatic modes, where its fantastic touchscreen and simple menu system truly shine for beginners. However, the moment I switched to manual mode, adjusting settings became a frustrating process of button presses and dial turns that felt intentionally designed to discourage manual shooting. It scores an 8.8 out of 10. The Panasonic Lumix G7 takes the win with 9.3 points because its combination of superb ergonomics, dual control dials, and a high degree of customization makes it the easiest and most versatile camera to handle for both beginners and those looking to grow their skills. Next, we're going to compare them on the build quality category, which has a multiplier of 1.5. Coming in at number 5, the Canon EOS R100 feels quite plasticky and basic, as you'd expect for the price. And while it impressively survived a drop during my testing, the lack of any weather sealing means you have to be careful with it, earning it a 6.8 out of 10. The Canon EOS Rebel T7 at number 4, unfortunately feels even cheaper in the hands with its entirely plastic construction and no weather sealing, but I will say it has decent ergonomics that make it comfortable to hold, though that's not enough to save it from a score of 6.5 out of 10. For our third spot, the Olympus OMD EM10 Mark IV is a step up, using metal for the dials and lens mount, which feels much nicer. However, the body is still plastic, and the complete lack of weather sealing is a major letdown for a camera this stylish, so so I'm giving it a 7.5 out of 10. At number 2, I found the Panasonic Lumix G7 to have a really solid and well-built feeling, offering a generous grip that's much better than most cameras in this class. And even though it's not weather-sealed, its overall construction and thoughtful control layout earn it a strong 8.5 out of 10. Finally, the Canon EOS M50 is surprisingly robust. I've had it out in rough conditions, from rain to snow, and it just keeps going. Plus, its secure grip feels great in the hand, making it a clear winner in this category with a 9.2 out of 10. The M50's proven real-world durability gives it the win with 9.2 points, showing that a lightweight camera can still be tough enough for challenging environments. Next, we are going to compare them on the features and functionality category, which has a multiplier of 2x. The Canon EOS R100 is a very basic entry point into Canon's mirrorless system with some helpful automatic modes and both Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connectivity, but the heavily cropped 4K video, slow, continuous shooting speed of just 3.5 frames per second with autofocus, and a fixed rear screen that has no touch functionality at all feel very restrictive, even for a budget model. I give it a 6.5 out of 10. This one, the Canon EOS Rebel T7, feels like a camera from a past generation with its outdated Digic 4 Plus processor, an extremely slow 3 frames per second burst shooting speed, and a complete lack of modern essentials like a touchscreen or 4K video. Although having Wi-Fi is a small redeeming quality for such a basic digital single-lens reflex camera, it gets a 5.0 out of 10. I found the Olympus OMD EM10 Mark IV to be a genuine pleasure to use, thanks to its fantastic in-body image stabilization that gives you up to 4.5 extra steps of compensation for camera shake, a flip-down screen that is perfect for vlogging, and reliable eye detection autofocus. Even though its reliance on contrast detection autofocus can sometimes hunt for focus with very fast-moving subjects compared to the others, this one earns an 8.5 out of 10. The Panasonic Lumix G7 is an absolute video powerhouse for what you pay, delivering excellent 4K video capabilities without the severe crop you see on its rivals, a brilliant 4K photo mode for pulling stills from video to capture fast action, and a fully articulating touchscreen, even if its contrast-only autofocus system is not quite as advanced as some newer hybrid systems. I'm giving it a 9.2 out of 10. Finally, the Canon EOS M50 packs a lot of potential with Canon's excellent dual-pixel autofocus that works wonders for photos and 1080p video. Very useful, fully articulated touchscreen, and a microphone input for better audio, but it is seriously held back by the severely cropped 4K video that also disables that great autofocus system, making its biggest feature almost unusable for any serious work. It scores an 8.0 out of 10. The Panasonic Lumix G7 is the clear winner here with 9.2 out of 10 points because it delivers usable, uncropped 4K video and a suite of powerful features that the others in this price range simply cannot match. Finally, we are going to compare them on the value for money category, which has a multiplier of 3. The Canon EOS R100 presents itself as the most affordable gateway into a modern mirrorless system. And while I found its 24-megapixel sensor and snappy autofocus to be great for photos, the value proposition is seriously hampered by its heavily cropped 4K video, lack of a touchscreen, and a fixed screen that feels limiting in real-world use, earning it a 7.5 out of 10. Next up, the Canon EOS Rebel T7 is an incredibly cheap entry point into photography with a sensor that can deliver sharp, colorful images in good light. But its value is severely dated by its ancient video technology that maxes out at 1080p without modern autofocus, or even a microphone input, making it feel more like a relic than a bargain for anyone serious about content creation. So I'm giving it a 6.9 out of 10. I was genuinely impressed with the Olympus OMD EM10 Mark IV, which packs in-body image stabilization that is unheard of at this level, giving you incredibly stable handheld shots. And while the Micro Four Thirds sensor isn't quite as strong as its APS-C rivals in low light and it lacks a microphone port, the combination of excellent handling, 4K video, and that stabilization makes it a fantastic package for the money, landing at a solid 8.8 out of 10. The Panasonic Lumix G7 is an absolute powerhouse for aspiring filmmakers on a budget, delivering sharp 4K video with an array of professional-level controls and a fully articulating touchscreen that I found super useful. And even though its autofocus can sometimes hunt with fast-moving subjects, no other camera on this list comes close to offering this level of video flexibility for the price, which is why it gets a 9.3 out of 10 for me. Finally, the Canon EOS M50 has been a beginner favorite for years because it perfectly blends ease of use with a fantastic articulating screen and great image quality. However, its value in 2025 is questionable since it's built on the discontinued EFM lens system, which offers no future upgrade path, making it a risky long-term investment compared to the others despite its strong performance, so it receives an 8.2 out of 10. With its incredible 4K video capabilities offered at such a low price point, the Panasonic Lumix G7 is the clear winner here, scoring an impressive 9.3 points. The results of our comparison show that each product shines in its own way, but the Panasonic Lumix G7 stands out with its score of 89.0. My experience with the G7 has been nothing short of impressive, particularly due to its remarkable 4K video capabilities and intuitive handling. The fully articulating touchscreen made framing both photos and videos a breeze, while the dual control dials allowed for seamless adjustments on the fly. Despite its lower resolution sensor, the G7's ability to handle noise and capture great tonal range makes it a phenomenal choice for any aspiring filmmaker or photographer, especially at such an unbeatable price point. That said, the other cameras still hold their ground with a variety of strengths. The Olympus OMD EM10 Mark IV, with a score of 85.85, delighted me with its exceptional image stabilization and overall image quality. The Canon EOS M50 follows closely, scoring 82.6, offering a great blend of ease and image quality, though it's slightly held back by the limitations of its lens system. The Canon EOS R100 and EOS Rebel T7, while scoring lower, provide good entry points for those on tighter budgets, the R100 with modern mirrorless functionality, and the T7 delivering DSLR basics. Each of these cameras brings unique features to the table, but the G7 truly leads the pack when balancing performance and value.